darkest hour. Magnus! I want the Matrix. We exterminate him! Unicron.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the Fanstoys Margh QT 3D printed kit. It's like a skeleton, an endoskeleton, so that you can have your cake and eat it too, with having the Y Prime and the Ultra Magnus both. And it's about a $36 kit, probably after tax and all that stuff. It comes to about $40 shipped. I got mine from AliExpress. Shozi does not carry these, so I could not get it from Shozi store. And so with that, I've been holding on to this for a few days, and I can deal with that right now. You know, Magnus can't deal with it right now, but I can. So we're going to take a look at this. I'm going to show you how it holds up. We're going to see how it goes together. We're going to see how it works. I'm going to show you the articulation of it. And then, of course, there are the little booty pieces, the foot stabilizer, if that's what you want to call it, the heel spur enhancer. Talk about all this and more. And there's one glaring omission in this set. Talk about that too. Coming up. So before we go any further, I want to get these little pieces out of the way. Now, I'm going to show how it works. I'm going to also show you an alternative with it. So let's get in here and come back here. We're going to pull the foot down and make sure this is fully extended. You're going to take one of these, and they're the same for each side. There's not a left or right. You're going to basically put it over this and snap it into place. I didn't think it was a left or right. And everything, it was easy. I had it on just a minute ago, but I popped it off so we can put it back on here. So just make sure that these two pieces are clipped into there, and then we have a support. So this is a foot support. This just gives it the support it needs so that he doesn't tumble backwards. But if you don't want that, let's say you're not buying this kit and you still want just this, the white prime, then you can do that with this over here. So over here, as you notice, this piece was left out. I left it out on purpose to show on this side. You can see it's tucked into here. Now with this kit, there's really no need to leave it out like that. And since I have the kit, why not? And let's get a little lower here. Get a little lower. And so how did I leave that out? Well, it's just simple. You just didn't tuck it into this. But let's untab this. And we're going to kind of wiggle it and lift it up. Untab that part and all of this to come up. And that's about as far as you really need it to go up to bring it out. So you could either at this point, when you go to close it back up, leave this out, or you can seat this back in, which I'm going to seat it back in. As you can see, you know, I feel like when I do this stuff, it's so rudimentary and basic compared to all the other stuff you got to do with this thing that it's like a boring waste of people's time. But I'm still going to do it anyway. Now we're going to get into this where we slide this other piece on. That one just tabbed in super easy. That probably was the one I already tabbed in once, so it kind of is ready to go. Now he's solid. He is stable. Much better. Much, much better. And nice improvement. You almost get the same thing with what I showed you before, but I do think this is a better option and less chances of scratching up your little piece. And all the pieces hidden in every mode. If it gets scratched up, it's not a big deal. Some people might be bothered by that. So there we go. We have white prime ready to go, so we can set them aside and watch them not fall over. All right, here is the endoskeleton set piece, and I want to point out the fact the color is a little bit different than that figure. So it's going to be a little bit of different color. It's not quite as bright of a white, and it's definitely not going to have that sheen, the paint. But for the rest of it will probably fit in just fine. So just the thighs are what's going to be showing that's not going to be quite right, but not a big deal. Now it does have some articulation right here, and we have the leg articulation, and nothing's ratcheted. I'm just glad they put in what they did. There's some screws in here, but they have pins on the inside here. Now it's hidden. There's not a pin on the outside there. There's one here, but not right there. So it's interesting how they did that. They incorporated that because this piece extends. Smart stuff that they did with this thing so that you can get double jointed knees on it. This is very solid. And they've even got a gap filler in there to help with this. So really smart how they put this whole thing together. And I have a pretty good confidence. Now there is no ankle tit or any that kind of stuff. This is static, but you don't need it in this Magnus. So let's get into looking at this. Now you'll notice we're going to have white prime chilling back there for a while. We're going to start with putting this waist piece on. I really think that's how everyone likes to start their Magnus is. So we're going to put this into here, and this will come around to the back and tab in to here. And it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. It's probably going to rub a little paint there. Bring these down. This comes down. This will tab together. And let's get that tab together. So we've got a waist piece on there. I'm not too excited about how well this did not tab in. Now, I might have to shave a little bit of that off to make it tab in better. But we got the waist piece, and once we get the rest of the armor on, it should be fine for what we need. Now, we need this guy. And we're just going to put it on the way we would put it on a normal figure. So we're going to pull all this out. We want to lift it up a bit. Well, now it's all falling apart. Oh no, it's falling apart. So we're going to slide this in like so. That fits fine. It's going to come over and under. Now this piece needs to be in, and then we're going to tab it in like so. Same thing on the other side, which this arm stays in better than that other one. Tab it in like so. Then this comes down and tabs into here and covers that, but this should go in just a little more. Yep. And then this comes down. So what's really doing all the work is the Fanstoys armor is doing the good work. This needs to go into this here. I just shimmied that a little bit on the off screen, and now it's got to go into there. I'm actually gonna do. I don't want to break this. This feels delicate, but you do have to kind of shimmy that in there. And I'm sure this probably has to do with the kit being a little fraction. I'm going off screen camera. This needs to go into here like that. And that was not at all the kit's fault. I'm sure that was 100% my fault. I just pushed this piece in much tighter to make that work. And it's a perfect fit. Perfect fit. So that works. Now we're going to get into the legs, or the lower legs. Let's get down here to this. Get down to the business of the lower legs. And we'll start with this side here. Now you open this up, and as you know, this is on a slider. So we're going to have it maximum foot acceptance space. And then there is no articulation, so you're going to have to shimmy it in there. Like so. Then we want to slide it into its position and then close it all up. Is it all the way into position? All the way into position. Close it all up. And then close that on there. And that should be all it takes for one leg. Let's do the other one. Probably just every bit as less dainty as I did before. But I'm going to kind of shimmy it into there. Like so. And then slide this, keep this, slide this into place like this, and then keep that one open so that when this comes in, and then that tabs, and we've got the leg armor on, and the articulation takes over with that. That's probably the longest part of the video. It's not a transformation, it's just an assembly, but yeah, it took me a little longer than I thought it would. And this piece fell back. Now, let's see here. Tab that back in, And let's see if there's anything else that needs to be done. This is a little bit loose for me. I'm sure there's something I could do to tighten that up. Tighten up them hips, but hips are loose but not going anywhere. Nice alternative if that's the biggest problem with the hips loose. I could shave that little tab in there on the bottom, I guess. But let's get him with his gun. Let's get him in a little bit of a pose, and let's do some comparisons. I just want to say that I'm not known for dynamic poses for either my display or in reviews, but this guy looks pretty good. And the fact that, well, it is 85% Fanstoys exposed, the fact that it's that little bit, so that little off color there doesn't really bother me. And actually, looking at it, it matches this pretty well. So that looks pretty good. They've done a pretty good job with it. I'm wondering if I did something wrong on here when I was putting that together, but he can hold a pose, stand in a pose, and I mean, this is a pretty dynamic pose. Probably not the most dynamic pose y'all can think of, but yeah, this is something that the hardware's strong and sturdy. It holds up, even though it's literally just a pin, 2 pins, and it gives you what you need. Now, more than likely on my shelf, he's just going to be standing there in a slightly more dynamic than an A pose, but A stance. But let's get him real quick and do a little bit of some articulation with him. And so the waist works. I mean, and it's probably a 360. If you want it to be, then that works. And it feels solid. Obviously, without it being ratcheted, there's going to be some issues down the road if you move it around too much. I don't think you'd want this for wild posing every day of the week, but you might want to get it in your favorite pose and keep it there for a while. And then, of course, everything else is pretty much Fanstoys. Again, either I did something wrong or it's just going to be a loose waist, which doesn't really bother me because, as you can see, once you get it standing there, you don't notice the waist is loose. It's not a big deal. The lower legs clip together very, very well. And now the color is closer. Now, it's closer. Not exactly, but it's still closer and it works. And truthfully, part of getting them into this mode is to flip around these little pieces that you see right there on the legs. Flipping those around, well, those don't exist, so it is a cleaner look, actually, than having the figure. Would it be better to have the original figure installed? I actually don't know. I don't know. Let's also get into here. Let's talk about this. I have official word from Shozy that they're sending me my Matrix, and now I'm thinking I'd like a second Matrix. That would be awesome. Wouldn't that be cool? Why is this not coming up? Up and out, up and atoms. That's tabbed in nice. Nice and tight. So there's the Matrix chamber. That's how he looks with this Matrix chamber. It works. It gets the job working. If you wanted to, you probably could have chromed that before. I probably should have chromed it. It would have looked nice. But look at the reds. They're not the exact same. Like as we turn it, you see it. You see the Fanstoys parts glistening. You see the 3D printed parts, which have been painted, by the way, I believe. I think they've been painted. They match really close. Color-wise, not the sheen-wise. Still, this is not where you'd have your figure 90% of the time anyway. It would just be like an occasional thing. It's nice they engineered that into it. The other thing is the back, and so with the back, we're going to bring in white prime so we can talk about backs. So looking at the back, it's interesting. It's similar, yet different in a way, but pretty interesting and kind of fun, though. Kind of fun the way they did it, and it looks good, and it's not too massively intrusive. Everything fits just right with the back. And here's the back of this guy. So there they are, side by side. It's nice for an additional 40 bucks. You're chilling with both of these figures instead of just one figure. And I know there's probably a lot of people out there that bought two. A lot of people were like, you know what? Why don't I buy two so I can have one? And now you might want to just sell your extra and get this kit, or you can be satisfied with your two. If you did buy two, what are you doing with the shell pieces? You know, I don't know. What are you doing with the shell pieces? If you did buy two with one to have in your white prime mode, it would be quite interesting. Let's get into some comparisons. Now, I do want to point out that here we go with the White Prime, and one of the problems with White Prime is he has no gun. Like, he doesn't have a gun because the other gun is transformable. Now we got him standing well. That's an oversight. They really should have printed a white gun that would fit him and look good. Why not? Or something along those lines. So I think that's an omission that should have been included. And even if it's a few bucks more, it would have been really awesome. I would love it. And by the way, if they do make one, I'd still buy one. It's not like I wouldn't want to buy a White Prime gun. It would be awesome. But anyhow, that's an omission. There they are side by side. And here he is a lot more stable than he used to be. And remember, there's the other option that you can use even if you don't want to use these foot filler pieces.
I can't deal with it now.
So, X-Transbots. I have to tell you, they're both great options too. Getting back to all of this whole Magnus war. And what do I think about it? Which one looks better? And you can do a little bit more with him to make him look a little bit better. They both look great. You'd really not go wrong with either one. The way they did this, though, he is a little thinner. His legs are thinner. Everything's a little thinner about him. He's still a bulky bot, but he's not as bulky, which was my problem with Takara, and also a bit of a problem with this one here. I just kind of wrote it off that you're only going to get him slimmed down so much, and I think this is probably the slimmest you're going to get one, except for the KFC. It's a Commander Stacks, which is very stylized. It's not G1-esque, but with that, there they are. And I want to admit that my X-Transbots one, I've been liking it even more because it's in my review space as one of my comparisons for bigger bots now. So I mess with it a lot more. But, oh, again, I do like the clear pieces in there more than that. But anyway, good stuff. You can actually swap those out too still. Alright, so what do I think about this set? I think that it is solid, and I recommend it because of the fact that it's an affordable option to make it look a whole lot better, and you can have 2 in 1! Yes, and as expensive as stuff is these days, it's really nice to be able to get that 2 in 1, to be able to double your bots on your shelf for 40 bucks. I mean, we're talking masterpiece quality Prime, masterpiece quality Magnus, and I do look forward to the standard Prime 2 and seeing how that comes, but this is like a glaring, obvious need in the market, and it's been filled. Probably going to do this with the combiners as they come about, and yes, these guys, they're high-fiving. They're not playing patty cake. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, but let me know what you think. Time to hang out.
This is Jazz, up in the suburbs of Cybertron. And it's attacking Moon Base 1.
Jazz, Clef Jump together. Somehow we must destroy it before it devours Cybertron.
Cup and Hot Rod just bought it.
I can't deal with that now. Say something. Anybody.